Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now what we're going to do is take a look at XRP. Now this has been a big request from a lot of my subscribers, a lot of my community in Telegram asking me to cover this. That's the main reason I'm doing so, just to please the public, make sure you're all very happy with what's going on with XRP. Furthermore, just know that if you're new to the channel, we only look at the technical data. There's no fundamentals here, and the whole purpose there is just to kind of keep it simple and to ensure that you always do your own research, and just know there's always two sides to trading, right? Fundamentals and technical data. Combine those two together and you got a really good informed decision, right? So that's the whole point of this, is to help you find a good entry point as well as understanding the climate that we're in presently, to just know the big picture, so you know kind of what you're getting into, so you can be well informed and make an informed decision. That being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at XRP, and just know I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. I always recommend you do your own research, of course, as well as the fact that there's a link to our community for our Telegram group. Feel free to reference that. Patreon account, as well as $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager. That's all down in the description below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to it. Alright folks, let's go ahead and take a look at XRP. This was highly requested from my subscribers, so that is the main reason why I'm covering it. So thank you again for reaching out and letting me know. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start with Bitcoin and Ethereum, kind of get a baseline of what's going on with those two first, and then transition into XRP to kind of see obviously how that's performing. Because if I recall correctly, XRP and Bitcoin have a lot of similarities, but we'll take a look at that closer here soon. Either way, first things first is Bitcoin. So let's take a look at this guy here, and Bitcoin is actually kind of good right now. I'm a little happier with it. It's been upsetting me over the last few weeks of indecision, but more importantly, we're back above the 200-day moving average of 57,000. And if you've been following the channel or just in general following Bitcoin, you'll know that 57,000. The moving average is at 57,000, the 200-day moving average. And just know that that is a major support and resistance level that has really caused a state of complete indecision recently. So I mean, literally for the past week, we've seen the price go above, below, above, below, above, below, above. Kind of ridiculous, but if the price can stay above and continue upwards, and this 50-day moving average works as a support level that's continuous with the price, we're going to be looking at some pretty good things. And I was mentioning this in other videos too, when the moving averages, the 50 and the 100-day moving average, or in this case the 200 and the 50-day moving average, are combining together right here, then we're going to see some pretty awesome things, because the fact that when two support levels merge, or in this case two moving averages working as support levels, when they work together and kind of come intersect, so to speak, it creates like a super support. Okay, so we're really hoping that those two will combine, price will stay up, and we'll continue to get an increase in price, because that would really help a lot of other things, right? So anyways, this is the 4-hour chart, and that's kind of what you're looking at there. Not much else to really note, except that 57,000 is essentially just a major support level right now, but we don't know what's going to happen until the price continues upwards. Yeah. Moving on to Ethereum. This is the 4-hour chart as well. And just want to quickly note how Bitcoin has impacted Ethereum. If you look back here, 417, that's Judgment Day, price went way down, right? Lowest Ethereum was in a short while there. Consolidation came back up. Bitcoin did its second dump on the 22nd. Consolidation, and on the 25th, its last attempt to sell off, and the price has come up ever since. So it's kind of nice in that way, but Ethereum has also had a state of indecision recently with the last week of trading from Bitcoin. As you can see right here, this is when Bitcoin decided to want to sell off, and it comes back up, and it sells off, comes back up. So Ethereum is essentially trying to react to that. And what's interesting about Ethereum, if you don't know this already, whenever people sell Bitcoin and price comes down in Bitcoin, they migrate over to Ethereum. So you probably wonder, okay, well, why is Ethereum doing so well when Bitcoin is doing terrible? It's because people are taking that to the next major altcoin, which is Ethereum, and riding the train back up. That's essentially the concept there, but right now, still in a state of indecision. There was a recent all-time high of 3,600 as a really close approximate. So just know that the 50-day moving average will be tested in the near future, maybe in the next, 3 or 4 days. And we'll really see at that point how the moving averages are going to be reacting to the price. All right, So that is that. Let's look at XRP now. And what I always do first is look at the one-day chart and work my way down. So I think it's best to look at the big picture, middle picture, small picture, cellular level, kind of just go from top to bottom. So we'll go from the one-day chart all the way down to the 1 minute chart. Now, first thing we want to look at is the moving averages. Not really close enough to matter at this point, but in the next couple of weeks, they may get tested. Really doesn't matter too much. I prefer to put more weight on the 4-hour chart when it comes to moving averages, but it does give you an overall sense of things and what the price should be at based on this overall time frame. So that being said, we don't need to worry about that, but what I do want to note here is the RSI is in good shape. It's not overextended, pretty normal. I guess it's kind of flattening out. Same thing with the MACD too. So not really much to note here on the one-day chart. Kind of boring, kind of normal stuff. We'll probably see a lot more from the 4-hour chart or the 15-minute. Let's take a look at that next. So, looking at the 4-hour chart, what I want to point out here is first of all the moving averages. Now this is where the moving averages I feel are the most beneficial or just they're most accurate on the 4-hour chart. And I'm talking about specifically the 50, 100, and 200-day moving average. So the 50-day moving average is this yellow guy here, and it's currently working as a support line. This is a good sign. It's been tested 3 or 4 times with a small variance. Price is staying above. It was tested previously with a large variance, but the price recovered, and it bounced off the 100-day moving average here. So as you can see, 100-day moving average was working as a resistance, broke through. You see how strong it broke through there? Makes sense, and then it comes back over and sold back off. And bear in mind, this is when Bitcoin decided to want to go on a bull run. So no surprise there, but these two do kind of mirror each other in a small way. The 200-day moving average hasn't been tested in some time, but it does work as a very strong support level. So if and when the price comes down to the 200-day moving average, or the 200 comes up to the price action, then we'll be looking at to see how it responds, but it will likely be a very strong support level. And it'd be really cool to see some of these moving averages intersect together right when the price hits, and then you can see a really strong bounce. Anyways, that's kind of what's going on with the moving averages for XRP so far on the 4-hour chart. RSI is right in the middle, fair to middling. Same thing with MACD as well. Nothing really to report there. It doesn't indicate bullish or bearish momentum, and the RSI really doesn't tell if it's oversold or overbought. Not really a big deal, nothing to really care about. I would just say pay attention to the moving averages. If the price can stay above this 50-day moving average, we'll probably be in pretty good shape. Moving on to the 15-minute chart. So, taking a look at here, 15-minute chart. See a pretty big spike there, pretty big decrease in price here. I feel like these were, let's see here, so 5, 6, 11, 15. Yeah, so the price comes down in Bitcoin right here. We saw the price go down on XRP. Price comes up on Bitcoin, comes up right there as well. Now it does react differently after the fact, but when you see a major increase or decrease in price on Bitcoin, you can experience that as well, probably dramatically, more so on XRP. I think it's even more exaggerated. That being said, that's kind of what you see there. Otherwise, the price action would be a little bit more steady if it wasn't for those two sell-offs. And then looking at the RSI, again, right in the middle, nothing crazy. It had a retracement here after it got up over 70. And again, if you notice that, big retracement and a big difference between volume weighted average price and the top price. And if you're new to the channel, I'll just quickly explain this. The volume weighted average price is my favorite indicator to use on the 15-minute chart or less. So it's a VWAP. It's essentially this blue line, this thick blue line. And what it is it tells us what the average volume is based on the last 24 hours as a price, which works as a consistent support and resistance line. So the price is above the VWAP right now, which is a good sign. That tells us that the price is going to stay above until it gets tested again. And what's cool about the VWAP is if you see right here where the price shot up really, really high past it and came right back down, it wasn't just because the RSI was overextended. It was mostly because the volume was too high in that period that was over the normal average for that time frame. So in that 24 hours, the price should have been right at that level, whereas the price went too high, so it had to come back down. So just pay attention to the VWAP and how that works. I mean, you see the inverse apply here as well. Price went too low below the VWAP line, and there had to be essentially an opposite retracement. The price had to come back up. So that's why I like the VWAP. It really tells you what the price should be at, and if it's considered oversold or overbought, you could literally use the VWAP and not even use the RSI and be just fine. But using them both together is tremendously better, in my opinion. But that's kind of how I usually, kind of look at the charts. And then when it comes to taking entry, in this situation here, I always wait. And again, broken record if you've seen my videos before, but I wait for confirmation. I'm a conservative trader. I wait for no less than 30 minutes for confirmation above a support level. So for example, right here, if you see two solid green bars, so for example, these two solid green bars here above VWAP, that would be a consideration for an entry point based on the fact that we have momentum and there's more, and it gives me more validity. I've had a lot better results waiting for confirmation longer than I do with shorter confirmation periods. Now some people will probably balk at that. They probably think that it's a bad call, because you're right, cryptocurrency moves fast. So sometimes not getting in, just say at the bottom, and missing kind of the meat on the bone, so to speak, or missing out on that profit, it can happen. There's no doubt about that. But truth be told, I lose a lot less nowadays and I'm more profitable, so I think it still works. However, use your own style, but if I were to take entry here, I would wait for confirmation, which just occurred there, but I don't feel good about how fast it increased there. I would prefer to have the price be a little bit lower. Okay. Another thing I'd do is I'd take a look at the 1 minute chart. Let's go ahead and quickly identify this as well, because just before I jump on the 15-minute chart, I do wait for confirmation for 30 minutes, but I like to make sure that in that 30-minute period, we kind of identify if there is a good, like a bullish momentum or if it's bearish, right? So let's just say we go 30 minutes back, so we're right here at 57, so 37, there we go, 27. So roughly right here is where that green bar started, and we're right here now. So it's making higher highs, which is a good sign, and it's traveling above the 50-day moving average. So it would be a decent place to consider taking entry then. Also, of course, RSI is overextended, the MACD is swinging upwards. This honestly doesn't matter too much. The MACD on the 1 minute chart is not the greatest identification of entry point, but it does help you understand the general shift in dynamic, and does appear to be shifting bullishly based on this chart right now. So again, those are just things that I like to consider. I'd recommend you just always wait for confirmation. That's my biggest thing that works the best for me. Wait for confirmation. Do not take entry until you see at least some type of solid green bars forming above support lines. And that's one thing actually I kind of forgot. I jumped right in. Didn't even think about this. Let's go ahead and see if we can identify some major support and resistance lines. I usually like to do that first. In fact, let's see if the 4-hour chart gives us any big ones here. That's really the best way to go. I mean, the VWAP is an awesome support and resistance level, right? It really works continuously with the price. But sometimes you need to know if you're working with a ceiling or a floor, and if it's working itself into a channel. This looks pretty obvious here. But that's right at about 152. And we got a resistance line that's tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Might even be a better one there. Yeah, let's go to this guy here. Okay, so again, this is a 4-hour chart right now that we're looking at. 50-day moving average is moving up, which is great. It's above support level at 152. So honestly, I would feel comfortable with taking an entry. If we look at the 15-minute chart, taking an entry here would not be a bad call, because of the fact that we look at the big picture, we're above support, price is over VWAP, and we still got a long ways to go before we get to that resistance level. So just say, for example, the price is right here. That's almost, just say, about 7% increase. That'd be a good goal to shoot for. So if I were to take entry right now, after confirmation, I would plan to do a short-term swing trade to try to get to my goal of that resistance level. But what I'd do is I'd initially add to my position, or take my position at, just say, like about a 30% total. So whatever my total amount is I'm starting with, just say it's $1,000 to make it simple, I would put in of the 1,000 I put in somewhere in the range of 200 to 300. I would basically take a $200 to $300 position. I would let the price continue to come up, and as long as the RSI is under 70, I'd feel comfortable to continue to ride out a little longer. Because keep in mind, this resistance line has been tested 4 times. That's a pretty strong resistance, but once it's broken, it should continue up past that. But what I'm getting at here is I would just, you want to be careful with your entry point, of course, wait for confirmation. But when you take entry, don't take a full position. So many traders go all in a lot of the time, and they get really sad and they get really wrecked because of the fact that they lose way more than they should. So I mean, heaven forbid, the position that I take right now goes south on me. If I only take a 20%, 30% position, and I might sell if it goes down to say 1 or 2%, that's not the end of the world. I still have plenty of time to recover my costs, and I would then shoot for my goal to see if the price bounces off the support line, which at this point is 152. So at 152, I'd wait for the price to come down, bounce off support, wait for confirmation, take another entry, see if I can get my gains back. But that's just kind of how I like to approach it, me personally. But the bottom line is you want to wait for confirmation before you even take entry. Set a goal, a realistic goal. To me, 7% is a little lofty. It would be awesome to get up there, but I would more so rather feel comfortable with just say 3 to 5%. That's usually my comfort zone. Okay. So again, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss with you here. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, if you found benefit, please like and subscribe. And just stay tuned for future videos, and be sure to join the Telegram community too. We got a really good group of people there. You can learn a lot. But for now, I bid you adieu. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see ya.